What is going on, guys and girls? It is GhostRobo, and the most fun video game week of the year is now behind us. E3 has passed, but there is still lots of juicy stuff to discuss, so we're talking all about it today. Joining me is the one and only Lovely Game Riot.
Hello.
I'm giving you a little surname there, Lovely Game Riot.
What's my surname is what? Lovely.
Lovely.
Okay, fair enough.
You accept it?
Scott Lovely.
Scott Lovely. That sounds actually really good. It's got a nice ring to it. It kind of sounds like a WWE wrestler or something.
Okay.
Anyways, we are going to talk all about our thoughts on E3, kind of wrapping the show up. We've had time to digest everything, really chew it through our intestines, and we've got a lot of thoughts on being there, Nintendo, Sony, Xbox, our favorite games, who won, and we are going to dish that all out to you right now. So for you, Scott, since it was your first E3, just tell us a little bit about your experience of being there and how it was to see the spectacle of what most people consider like the biggest event in gaming ever.
Oh god, it's quite like it's a place I've always wanted to go since I was like super young, like being into gaming, and it's just like a bit. I was like a kid on Christmas Day or something when I entered. It's just like there's so much to do. The place is absolutely massive. There's like two massive areas, and one's for like first party stuff, and then the other areas for like third party. I'm just like going around like, what the hell do I go to? And it's not. There's not many queues as well. Like the queues are pretty short normally because obviously it's mainly press. It's still quite busy though. There's a lot of people around and it's good fun. I liked it. I love just checking out the games basically.
Yeah, I think what's awesome about E3, because there's plenty of gaming shows now that are really popular. You've got PAX over here. You've got stuff like Eurogamer and Gamescom, and they're expanding into all the continents basically. But what makes E3 unique, I feel, is like every game pretty much is new. So there's a real sense of wonder of like, holy cow, everything I'm going to play today is going to be brand new. And there were a couple old things. We saw people waiting to play Titanfall. We saw people, queuing to play Street Fighter and stuff like that. But mainly you walk in there and you're just like, holy crap, there's lights and strobe lights and monitors and big posters and giant Pikachus and people dressed up as, the guys from Don't Starve we ran into and Knack, and Sony seemed to be really big on the paid cosplayers this year. They had a lot of strange ones, but it's just a spectacle and it's so much fun, and I love the fact that it is really catered to making sure everyone can see the games and play the games. There aren't that big of lines, and I have to say this is my third E3, and I think you really came to a good show, because last year I ended up leaving some days early because there wasn't enough to play. But this year, like every day, I was like, no, I want to get 2 or 3 more games in.
Yeah, I mean, I had to go home one day early, basically, so I missed the first day, and I was like a little bit gutted because I missed out on some games. I didn't play Sunset Overdrive, I didn't play Evolve at any point as well. So there's a couple of games I really want to play and check out, but I didn't get a chance to, which sort of sucked. But there we go.
Well, it was a good show, I think. Every main company, Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, had definite winning moments. I don't know that it was any of their best shows in terms of what we got. We were hoping, I think, for a little more surprise. And frankly, from a press conference standpoint, I was a little bit let down. And across the board, whether it was EA, whether it was Microsoft, whether it was Nintendo, I was a little bit like, I think my hopes were just so high with this being the first true next-gen year. I don't know. They didn't all reach it, but there were definitely still some really good moments. So pick one of those companies that you were really impressed with.
I was really impressed with Microsoft coming out and then just bringing us literally just games after games after games. And I like that because it was just like, I want to watch these conferences to watch about games, not about TV or sports or something. I just want to listen about games. And I was also quite impressed with Sony. Sony had like a little bit of a period in the middle where it sort of died down and started talking about some weird program. I don't remember what it was called now. It's just so pointless.
They also had that comic bit where they're talking about this new comic Powers, and it's going to be like a TV show, and it is a TV show.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, I was like, what the hell is this? Right. I don't care about this. And it was like a massive. It went on for ages as well. Like this guy was like thanking everyone for like their help and stuff. Like, thanks Sony, thanks blah blah blah. She's like, shut up for like a second, and then they moved on to like Batman and stuff, and it got a bit better. Right. I obviously saw a very brief look at Uncharted, which is very, very exciting. Very, very small though, wasn't it? It was only like 30 seconds. I was actually speculating that was actually gameplay for a bit as well. That very last bit where it sort of turns around and it I think that could be gameplay. That's how good the game's actually going to look, perhaps. I don't know.
They say it's all in engine, so supposedly that's not cutscene based. So supposedly that's how it looks. But I think you're touching on there, like the biggest disappointment for me is that the biggest hitters for these companies, which would be Halo 5 Guardians, Uncharted 4, and the new Legend of Zelda, we saw like the most brief, tiny teasers of when we were expecting to get full-on gameplay or maybe even demos of, and yet all we get is, you know, a total CG Master Chief Collection / Halo 5 teaser, an Uncharted 4 Drake wakes up and stands up and walks away teaser.
Looking rather old.
Right, and a Legend of Zelda, you know, running through and fighting a laser octopus on wheels teaser trailer. And like, to me, that was my biggest frustration. The things that I was most hoping for from each company didn't really pan out. But let's start with Microsoft, just since they were first up. What was your highlight from them for this show?
Ooh. It wasn't like, for me, there wasn't any big surprises.
Yeah.
I was just like a bit, I guess probably for me, hearing about the Halo stuff was quite exciting for me because I was a big Halo fan back in the day. And hearing that it's all like in one disc, and it's like $60 is quite exciting for me. And are they saying every multiplayer is going to be available? It's like multiplayer for Halo 1 and
that's kind of how it sounded, but it also at the same point didn't sound clear because they said like, oh, over 100 multiplayer maps, so that leads me to believe more like it's
like a Halo Master Chief online or something. I don't know.
Right, because I can't imagine them having 4 distinguished matchmaking services, 4 distinguished, you know what I mean? That would like fragment things up so much.
I mean, and the stuff I've seen so far, like brief little glimpses of the gameplay, it looks quite impressive. So I'm excited about that because I think they spent a lot of time in it. I think it's good value for money as well. It's not like they could have ripped you off so badly.
Oh, totally.
And the fact that it's got the beta in it as well for end of December is very, very exciting. I'm excited about that.
Now, your theory, though, is that it doesn't hit, right?
I don't think it's going to hit, no. I think this is they're doing it to focus on sales again. Can't we keep doing this now? Because they keep saying, oh, yeah, it's coming out this year. Get excited, like, pre-order the game. And I think this is going to be to try and push the sales of Halo.
Right.
And they're going to delay it until like January or something, end of January or even February maybe.
For the beta specifically. The game will for sure come out. And
yeah, the game will come out for sure, but the beta might be delayed.
I think it's a great value proposition. I mean, it kind of rivals the Orange Box as possibly the best value for $60 ever.
Sure.
And I'm not the hugest fan of that remake, but I do think it is going to sell like crazy. And it is a great way to sort of put Microsoft's biggest character, biggest brand forward. I was surprised we didn't see Gears.
It's very, very early in development. I mean, very, very early. It'd be like an EA thing where they show us like some sketches.
Here's Marcus's head that we're building out of clay.
Yeah. I don't want that.
And then I was kind of shocked that the Crackdown reveal, I felt like it was hyped up to be this super thing that people are going to be very excited about, but it kind of almost backfired, I feel. Most people seem to be kind of down on it and like confused that they ended on that moment.
It wasn't. Yeah, I thought it'd be Halo. I thought it'd be like a reveal of Halo
gameplay or something.
Like perhaps Gears of War. Like they've just somehow magically done something really impressive. But yeah, the Crackdown was like just a random trailer that didn't look very impressive or very exciting, and it was just like, oh, okay, is that it?
Not even sure if it's Crackdown 3 or a 1 remake.
Like
yeah, like what is it? Scalebound was their big exclusive that they revealed. It's from Platinum Games. And that trailer was my favorite part of the conference, but I have no idea what that game is. Right? It's like
it's like a tree man or something. I don't know.
Supposedly, it's about you being that guy who reminded me a lot of Dante from Devil May Cry.
I thought it was like a sequel at first, or like a prequel,
like DMC 2. Okay, I'll take it. I love that Ninja Theory DMC 1. But anyways, it's that guy fighting with his giant dragon against other giant creatures. So I'm not sure if it's action game, RPG, open world. We don't really have.
It looks like an RPG or something to me. Like, that's a very over exaggerated sort of look at the game, I guess. Like you maybe fight one of those bosses at one point, and then I don't know. It's interesting. It looks very, very interesting. It looks obviously that's just a CG, I guess, but I'm hopeful we hear some more soon. Hopefully,
should be very cool. And I was surprised that they rolled out the Assassin's Creed stuff at the Microsoft conference. That was sort of a
very last year it was like Sony, wasn't it?
Right. It seems like a Sony thing, but Microsoft focused a lot on the fact that, hey, we get this DLC first, we get this beta first. Do you think that still is a big deal, or do you think it's something that, these games are so massive on their own, whether or not you get the little extra mission pack on PS4, on Xbox One, does that matter much anymore, or does it only matter when it's a huge piece of content like the Ballad of Gay Tony and that GTA 4 stuff.
I think depending on the game, like you said, GTA would be like if they said like GTA DLC comes first, I think that'd be a massive coup for them.
Right.
And I think it'd be a differential between buying an Xbox and buying a PS4 or something. It's a big factor. But for stuff like Call of Duty now, I don't think people really care.
Yeah.
I don't think people are excited about maps anymore. I mean, they keep making a big thing of it, but for me, it's nothing. I don't know.
I think a lot has to do with how the DLC is done. So, yeah, if it's like a GTA 4 almost expansion pack, or if it's a very separate piece of new story content, sort of like The Last of Us Left Behind or like BioShock Burial at Sea, that makes a big difference. But if it's like you're going to get the, Secret Races add-on for free, like, who cares? Nobody. Like, why? We don't need more missions. We don't need more costumes. I think betas are interesting, but not enough to really move the dial. Like, it's cool that they're getting, I believe it's the Evolve beta first, but does that really, are people going to buy an Xbox One for that? Probably not. So all in all, I thought Microsoft did a nice job. I like that there was no, like you said, no fluff. It was just games, and Phil Spencer.
There's no fluff, but there's no surprises as well. No wow moments, really.
Right. Phil Spencer ran the floor well. He handled things nicely, but it kind of, to me, ended with a thud because there wasn't that, like, holy crap, this is the must-have game moment. It was kind of like...
Must-have console, even.
Right. It was... We've got all the third-party games with some DLC, and we've got Halo coming sometime, maybe. But...
At some point.
And this Scalebound thing, which I think is the goofiest name ever. But, I mean, all in all, I kind of walked out of there like, okay, they have a console. It can play all the cool games, and they've got Halo, B-.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for me, I wanted something that was going to... Again, like, you kind of like to go into this press conferences hoping you're going to see the next big thing, and I feel like we just didn't see it.
You just saw a lot of things, maybe. I'd probably give it a B+ myself, because I think it was just pure about the games. Last year, they were like, TV, Connect, and they didn't barely touch on Connect, which I hate. So the fact they focus on games, and annoying as some of the exclusive content is, it's quite a big coup for them, and I think some people will be interested in that.
For sure.
And I think I don't know. Yeah, I think probably a B+ is quite fair for me, I think.
And part of my score, and I'll just interject this here, is I played Sunset Overdrive, and that was a game I was really, really looking forward to. And granted, I only played this weird co-op wave-based multiplayer, but that game, it was the first game I played at E3. It was the one I was most like pumped to check out, and it really kind of fell flat for me. I think it controls very oddly, and I was surprised by how sporadic it is. You're not really focusing on guys. It's much more of a, hey, you're grinding on these rails, just fire stuff in the general direction. And to me, it just did not have a good feel. It wasn't what I hoped for from that game. And I'll still play the full release and hope that maybe the campaign is a different story. But if that's their big exclusive for this year, besides the Master Chief thing, that was kind of a disappointment, because I hope that was something Insomniac, great developer, be a big plus for them. And I can't really use that in any argument for Microsoft at this point, because it did not impress me whatsoever.
From what I've seen, I haven't played it, so outside it looks really good to me. It looks very, very impressive. Loads of bright colours, which I like. It looks very vivid and very, very pretty as well. But like, if I'm worried about what you said about it being quite slow, like when you're looking around and stuff, and it's quite awkward to control, and it's definitely a worry for me, because that's one of the exclusives I want to play.
Right. It does not look as good as Infamous. Like, I thought, I mean, granted, it's an early build. It's not finished, so we'll give them, time there. But from what I saw, which is what I can tell you about, and what I played, it does not look as crisp up close and in person as Infamous. Like, when I'm not
surprised. I think Insomniac make pretty games, but not like Infamous quality games.
Sure. So, that kind of, whatever. So, yeah, Microsoft, they did okay. I think what they needed to do this E3 was make themselves basically as equal as the PlayStation 4, and from that standpoint, I think they did. They didn't come out and be like, well, we have nothing, we're too expensive, we still got this Kinect. They're like, hey, games system, $400, Halo 5, we got DLC, and to me, going out of that show, there's just as much reason to buy an Xbox One as a PS4. But we can jump straight to Sony, and how did they fare in comparison to Microsoft?
Like I said, they had a little bit of a weird slump in the middle, but I think they've done a pretty good job.
What was your highlight?
for me, seeing like Batman
Yeah.
and probably the new Dark Souls game, probably
Bloodborne, yes.
Yeah, I'm quite looking forward to that. So there's definitely a few highlights. Obviously, seeing the GTA game as well, next gen was really cool.
Yeah.
Seeing Batman, seeing Uncharted was quite big for me. And the fact I think that is gameplay and that's how it's going to look is
Huge.
It's huge for me. I just want that game so bad.
Yeah, that's awesome. Were you surprised, like, when you first saw the GTA 5 next gen trailer and they're showing like the pier and the Ferris wheel? Did you think it was a different game?
Unfortunately I wasn't watching it live, but yeah, when I watched it back, I was sort of like thinking people might have thought this is something different.
Yeah.
Because it looks like it could have been like a new GTA game or something really, really exciting. But
for some people, it is exciting, I suppose.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely a huge seller. And keep in mind that is on both consoles, so it's not an exclusive, but
it's on PC as well. So
right. I was impressed to see Batman at a press conference. That was something we talked about a lot before. You know, would Arkham Knight be at a conference? And you actually called that one, and it was there, and it showed, I thought, really,
you
really
said
good.
no several times.
I did. I did. So I'll eat crow on that one, but it looks really great. You got to see an extended look of it, right?
Yeah. It looks really, really good. Like that's probably one of the games I think for me probably the highlight of E3. I didn't play Evolve, so for me I think seeing Batman. I didn't play it unfortunately, but I saw a guy basically play it in front of me, and it looks absolutely insane. There's a few bits like using the Batmobile as like a tank. It looks a bit weird to me, like it's the way it moves and
just control wise.
They're apparently like drones and stuff. Like I'm like, what
is this?
And you apparently you just shoot people, you stun them, you don't actually kill them,
right?
Which looks quite odd. But there's a few really cool like things that you can lift up bridges and stuff, and you can flick guys in the air and then shoot them, which looks absolutely crazy from the Batmobile, which is incredible.
Yeah, I think that game is going to be stellar. I'm hoping for an early 2015 release instead of late 2015.
That rumor we saw recently? Was it end of February?
Yeah, there's been a couple of rumors. There was some voice actors saying stuff, and then there was like I think it was an Xbox store page saying it was coming out in February. So it could be soon. I am, the overall worry, I think, for me this E3 is so many of the games are sequels and repeats, and there's very few true new content. And Batman, I hope that they can do enough and that it is, impressive enough, I guess, to wash away those worries. And it looks to be like I was blown away when he dives off that roof. I was like,
oh yeah,
how is it so tall? And that's another theme of E3 is like just humongous buildings.
Yeah, just like bigger buildings. The thing for me that Batman didn't feel like the city was very alive. Obviously,
yeah,
they've
that's
left
been a
the
problem
island.
forever.
That's
for
the
them.
excuse. But it looks like there's just nothing going on at all.
Yeah.
Especially with the Batmobile about as well. I don't think you can run people over because there's no one there. So
maybe that's a trade-off, though. They make Batman and everything look super good, and then they don't really simulate
a city.
Yeah, which is it's interesting to. As they push that game open world, it feels weird that there's not stuff going on because I think we're used to Grand Theft Auto and games like that where there's dynamic city events happening. And there's definitely not as much of those in the Batman games. Another big focus for them in that press conference was the Order. And I actually really enjoyed the demo that they showed on the stage floor, or on the stage show, I guess, more than what I'd seen before.
It looks like it's step forward for you, didn't it? Like in terms of, I was quite excited for the game anyway. I thought it looked quite pretty, and it's like, I really like the environment and sort of the atmosphere of the game. But he wasn't completely sold on like it being like looking very corridor almost. Right. But for me, it's stepped forward a bit as well, seeing that most recent gameplay.
I think what they got to do is emphasize the story there. They've got an interesting setting, a cool kind of paranormal but still grounded feel, and I hope that they really push that, because I played the demo that we've seen previously, the one with the thermite gun where you're just in these city streets with the main dude, and that was not very fun. It looks really pretty, and it has some cool guns. It definitely feels very much like a Sony game on a PlayStation console, just from its appearance and aesthetics, but it was more... I mean, if you think Gears of War is stop and pop, this is stop and pop. Guys were just coming out of windows. You'd shoot them, go back to cover. More guys coming out of windows.
Sometimes in games where you just sort of feel like you're just sitting there for ages.
Yeah.
And the guys just keep coming out of nowhere. It's like, what the hell is this? Like a stream of stupid people.
Right, just running out the window. Running out the window. And it literally was shoot all the guys in the little arena, move to a cutscene, shoot all the guys in the little arena, move to a cutscene.
I like how the cutscene is like a part of the gameplay though. It's all automatically just starts up again, which I like quite a lot. But
presentation wise, it was stellar. Just gameplay wise, it had all my worries. But I am gonna hold out hope, because what we saw at their press conference was more, had more atmosphere. It felt more, I don't know, more story rich than just arena. So we'll see with that one. Verdict's still out. I was disappointed with what I played. It sort of sucked that Sunset Overdrive and The Order kind of fell flat for me in their playable forms.
So what's Sony's exclusives now though? Is it, I can't think, is it Drive Club and
Little Big Planet? Which is, you know, they wheeled out Little Big Planet. Hey, it's coming out this year. Yay, cheers. It's a happy game. It shows well. It was kind of a funny demo. They were messing up a little bit. It's very charming, but that is not, I don't think that's going to push sales. I don't think anyone...
Did you play it at all? Sorry,
I did play it, and I walked up to it, and they had, I think, 6 or 8 demo stations, and there was literally like 1 or 2 people there. So it's basically Little Big Planet again. You cannot really tell the graphical difference. I thought that game already looked well. And, you know, they got some new characters this time. I don't know. I'm sure it'll be a fun, sort of family-friendly platformer.
That's it, though, isn't it?
That's it.
It's not going to be a system setter.
It's not going to do anything. To me, it seems like something that they could quickly throw out to have a game for PS4.
So they're obviously hoping for the third parties to kick it, go in a bit more, I guess.
Right.
Like and the AC unities and stuff.
Everybody kind of was saying this year is going to be all third parties, and we were kind of like, please be some sweet exclusive. And there was no Last Guardian. There was no, you know, crazy, Uncharted 4 is this year. There was no new God of War. I felt Sony's conference kind of mirrored Microsoft's in that they both had cool third-party demos. They both had teases of their big games, but they really had nothing more. There was nothing to really pull me to that side. There was nothing to really say, this is the system to have. And people have worried about that for a long time, that this generation more than ever before will have the fewest exclusives and the most parity in terms of, you know, games, and that kind of seems to be coming true so far.
Which is quite disappointing. I mean, there's literally nothing out this year. The only thing I'm hoping for is perhaps Gamescom can bring something, maybe, because I know Sony's starting to focus on Gamescom a bit more, and Xbox maybe trying to push the European side of things.
Do you get this sense that like every next year is the best year? Because everyone was talking about, 2015 is going to be crazy. You got starting off Witcher 3, Batman, Uncharted 4, Halo 5, Guardians, Bloodborne, and it's like, how many of those games are going to get delayed again? And I feel like every year we say like, the next year is the best year ever. Like last year, AC Unity in 2014, and possibly Halo 5, and you've got Watch Dogs and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I feel like every next year is said to be the year that we're waiting for.
I mean, I know some of those games you mentioned will come out next year for sure.
Sure.
But, I don't know what it's going to be ahead of that, to be honest. Like, what's after that initial burst at the beginning? I mean, this year, what we had this year, Infamous is the one that keeps coming to my head instantly.
I mean, Titanfall, but that
Titanfall, that
weird release there.
I don't think last year I was like, I knew at the beginning of this year was going to be quite bad. Like it's fairly quiet. I wasn't that into this year, and I'm still not that into this year, to be honest. But
I think this year has a lot of games that are cross-gen, and I think a lot of the next-gen games that we were hoping would be 2014 are actually 2015. Because really, if you think of exclusives, you've got like next-gen exclusives. You've got AC Unity. You've got Evolve. I can't even really think of anything beyond that. That's this year. That is Call of Duty Advanced War. No, that's cross, right? Yeah,
that's cross. Of course, that's cross.
So you've got AC Unity and Evolve. And
what do you think of that game, by the way? Advanced Warfare. So we saw like some brief stuff outside of the stuff you guys saw in the conference, and for me, it doesn't look. I saw like a stealth mission where you go invisible, and it's like.
I mean, I feel like every year they say this is the year that Call of Duty really changes, and it never does.
What did that guy say the other day? It was like, you will not
believe the
so
graphics.
Realistic. Yeah, it's like, what?
It
doesn't.
It's the same. Like, fundamentally, the issue I have with that game is that I'm sick and tired of gallery shooters. I'm sick and tired of being driven to a big explosion, killing all the guys, and then being driven to another explosion. That's just boring. And all in all, like, at E3, what games were really advancing not just the visuals, not just the amount of people on screen, not just the scope of the city, but the actual gameplay. And there were very few games that did that. And that's why I've talk so highly of Evolve because it's actually a new kind of a game. It's actually doing something different that no game has really done before it. And you know, when are we going to get that? If next holiday is all about Uncharted and Halo and Zelda, are we going to get a new style? You know, we saw extra stuff with the Division, but that's God only knows when that comes out. And you know, it takes a couple of years for consoles to really get going, but I hope that at some point in the near future we start to really see like this is where gameplay will evolve and not just visuals.
I think a good example of something we could talk about is probably Rainbow Six as being something that sort of develops the gameplay. It's developing because of the technology that they can put behind it. They said they couldn't possibly put basically this destruction into the old game because it just wouldn't work.
Right.
And they tried to do it with the old game, so they basically restarted it all over again.
Right.
Instead just purely next gen, which is I like the fact you can shoot through walls, make holes.
Yeah.
You can shoot through those walls, which I just.
Well, what makes that really unique is the fact that there's deformation, but that it's changing up the gameplay. It's not just like, whoa, look at that building fall, or whoa, look at the fact that
which
you
is
can...
realistic because a shotgun bullet would make a freaking hole in a wall.
Right, and then you can use that hole
Yeah.
as your next, you know, point of attack or whatnot. It's not just like, look at this cool hole. You know, like you have opportunities to change up your gameplay, and so that was really impressive. I was supposed to get to play that. I was so bummed that I didn't. But
so people did play it.
Yeah.
The thing, didn't they? Yeah.
So that game, I told you this 10 times when we were at the show floor, but I think Rainbow Six Siege comes out before the Division, even though it's gotten announced 2 years later. I think it.
Yeah, I think so as well. We've seen Division like a bit behind closed doors, pretty much the same stuff you've seen already, really.
Right.
But we just saw like the skills and stuff, and it does look. I'm excited for the game for sure, but we talked about this already, haven't we? The premise of the game, like
what is it?
There doesn't seem to be much story in there and stuff, and it's I don't know. I'm worried about it.
Yeah.
For sure.
To just touch back on one more thing from Sony, Bloodborne. I was very impressed by that. I got to see the behind closed doors demo, which I don't think has still been released. I actually saw someone play the game for about 10-15 minutes, and it's very much a Souls game, but it's more offensive focused. There was no blocking that I saw, and I asked the woman playing the game, you know, are you going to have blocking? And they weren't commenting on that. But it seems more offensive. What I really like, though, is it is absolutely gorgeous, but it seems like there's much more dynamic things going on within the world that they're using the next-gen power for. So just to give the example briefly, two little quick ones. One, you were running down a hallway, and instead of just entering a boss room and the boss being there, this gigantic werewolf creature, he leaped from, like, it seemed like a mile away and landed right in front of you. Then the mist walls go up, and so it was a much more dynamic and unexpected and kind of realistic, I guess, boss battle instead of just enter the door and face.
Yeah, I do like that because I do find like Dark Souls. Oh, here's a mist door again. Right. I'm about to die. Like,
and I think they still will have mist doors, but that looked pretty cool. And the second one that was probably more impressive is the demo took place in sort of this very gothic square, and there was these zombie type creatures that were kind of milling about, and then this giant bell went off, and they all kind of formed lines and paraded through the town. But it was happening dynamically, so it wasn't because you triggered a point. It happened in the world. You were running around. You could go and fight those guys as they were parading through the street, or you could hang to the side alleys and the upper levels, and then you could either engage them all together in a group or wait for them to finish their... I mean, it's still a routine. They're still following a routine, but finish that and disperse into the level. I guess what I'm saying is it felt more alive than just like a chessboard with these pieces sort of pre-placed everywhere. The boss is jumping in. The guys are running through the streets. It felt more like, hey, I've entered this town and all this crazy stuff is happening, as opposed to these guys are waiting for me, you know, for eternity, just standing here, you know, waiting for me to aggro them.
Whoa.
Breaking stuff over there. You must be really excited about really excited about Bloodborne.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that game for sure. The blocking thing though is a bit weird for me. I don't know why the character would not be able to block. It's just
and they didn't say they didn't say it won't be able to. They just said more of an offensive focus, and there was no shield being shown at E3 at the demo. The character had a shotgun and a double, like a saw thing that could be a long saw or like a blunt short range weapon. It was like a changing weapon, which is a big twist for this series, that they will have, you know, modifiable weapons with multiple stances. And the shotgun, by the way, was more of a like clear clear out multiple enemies coming at you. It wasn't like, oh, sit back and like pick guys off. So people were afraid, like, oh god, this is going to turn into some Call of Duty stand back and shoot guys. But it's basically like a melee weapon, just called a, you know what I mean? Because it can only be used really, really close up. But that's one that I think it's a big get for Sony. It's to me, it's a bigger get than Scalebound, because nobody knows what the heck that is. Especially
like in Japan and stuff as well.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be so massive. And obviously Dark Souls is more of like I guess it's sort of like a niche game, but not really. It's getting more into the mainstream. I think people will be excited to see a next gen Dark Souls for sure. If they market it properly, it's going to sell loads for sure.
Totally. So what would you give Sony as a grade?
Ooh, I feel like it's almost exactly equal to Microsoft in some ways. It's more slightly more surprises I think in this one, and I like the fact they show quite a bit of gameplay. I'll probably give like a B maybe. Or even a B+ equal, I'm not sure. Yeah,
I guess for me, I had really high hopes for this conference. I've loved the PlayStation 4 to death. I have consistently said I like it more than the Xbox One up to this point. So the fact that there was no Last Guardian, the fact that there was nothing else for this year, the fact that the order got pushed back, to me, I've got to give them... I feel like Microsoft's conference did more for them than Sony. So on that standpoint, I would give Sony a C+, just because maybe I should give them a B- as well. I mean, Uncharted is really great, but there was no gameplay. Yep. Little Big Planet 3 does nothing for me. Bloodborne is really cool, but if I'm looking at these consoles from where they were before E3 to where they are after, I feel like Microsoft gained more ground than Sony did, and so it's hard for me to rate Sony higher. I loved Batman. I loved seeing the New Order demo. I have no complaints there. The White Destiny PS4 may end up making my wallet cry, but there was nothing that nothing wowed me, and nothing said, let's put it this way. I have friends that still haven't purchased next-gen consoles. They ask me which system to buy after E3, and I'm kind of like, I don't know, we got to look at the games. Sony did not, to me, establish themselves as still the must-have of the next-gen consoles.
Yeah, I still feel like that for Xbox as well, though. I don't feel like I could turn around to someone and say, have to buy this year because Sunset Overdrive is the most amazing game of all time. It's not. I don't know.
So are they both unrecommendable at this point? I mean,
yeah. Unless you're really into games, I can't.
And that to me is why I'm giving them such low scores. You might be listening to this and think, oh my god, a C-, a B+, that's terrible. You had no fun at E3. I had a blast at E3. I love the games that are coming out. I'm super excited for this year and beyond, to be honest. But I was hoping that they would define themselves as needed purchases, as you got to go spend $400 on these guys because they're so dang cool. And they are so dang cool, but unless you're hardcore, I find it hard to recommend, like, what game am I going to tell someone to buy on PlayStation 4? Infamous? And then what? When they've played that for 6, 7, 8 hours, then what? I mean,
unless you're like a massive Assassin's Creed fan, but maybe to buy one of them. But
I guess and that's kind of where I was disappointed. And if we want to turn towards my baby, Nintendo, I will say that I think it's cool that Microsoft and Nintendo seem to be speaking more directly to the game fans, where Sony still seems to be giving like this.
That's weird though, because the last time in that conference was really good.
Yeah, this time it seemed more like a business show though.
It didn't seem to they've gone towards where Xbox was. It's like, what? You got it right the last time. Why don't you just focus on bringing out games, not some weird superhero show thing?
And I will say, like, one thing that we didn't mention, I think Microsoft did well, is they brought a significant indie presence, and some of those games looked really cool. There's a game called Cuphead that is done in like 1950s style animation. There's a game called, I think it's called like Oni in the Mystical Forest or something like that. It's an absolutely gorgeous game. I didn't have a chance to play it, but it looks beautiful in person. And that kind of was Sony's like killer, advantage last year, and I feel like Microsoft stepped to the plate, and to me that again further, they're too close together at this point. They're both $400. They both have very few exclusives. They both have indie games. I mean, the PlayStation 4 runs faster and it has a little bit better graphics, but it's like I don't feel as strongly about either of them anymore.
I mean, Oddworld is coming out on PS4 this month.
You're very excited about that.
I'll say bye now.
That's a Lorne Landing joint, so it's straight from Europe, and I've liked Oddworld in the past. Stranger's Wrath, you ever play that game?
I haven't. No. better.
Get the HD version of that on.
Was Oddworld not very big then in the US?
It was. I don't think probably the same.
It's more of like a sort of I don't know. It wasn't like a mainstream game,
No.
but it was just like the gamers used to like it.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty hardcore and kind of just quirky, cool. Like it's a guy who's making it that like really knows his stuff and decides to make something more unique than just a shooter, which is I think cool.
Definitely, sure.
So if we move into Nintendo and their digital event, they did not have a press conference, but they definitely had a show. I had really high hopes for this one. You know,
I told you beforehand. I told you don't get excited.
Mario Kart Wii U has pushed 2 million units. They're saying it's done more for the Wii U than Titanfall did for Xbox One. They've got Super Smash Brothers
probably true
coming out at the end of the year. You've got 2 consoles with virtually no exclusives and a big chance to push your system. And they came out to me with the goofiest lineup they possibly could have. And I guess we'll start off with the Amiibos, which, I mean, I'll just let you take it from there.
You go.
Nintendo is releasing NFC figures in the line of Skylanders / Disney Infinity guys, and they're called Amiibo, which supposedly is like French or something.
What's it called? What's it stand for?
Like, I don't. It has the word "me" in the middle, like MII, which ties back to Wii, I guess. But why not just call these Nintendo figures or Wii figures or something? Amiibo just sounds.
Is that something to do with like being in Japan? It sounds like a Japanese word, sort of.
I don't know. I'm just saying, if you're an 8-year-old kid and you're like, "Mom, I want the new Zelda figure," you're not going to say, "Take me to buy Amiibo." Like, anyways, these guys are going to be integrated in Smash Brothers, Mario Kart, in future games. Where for Smash Brothers, like you can save movesets onto them. And possibly, you know, there's cool possible future implications, like maybe you buy one to unlock a new character. Now, they've said for Smash Brothers that won't be the case, but maybe in the future you could bring in, I don't know, bring Mario into a Zelda game or something like that. The disappointing thing for me there is they did not reveal any game that was using them. Like, Skylanders has a game to sell with it, right? Disney Infinity has a game to sell with it. There's no game to sell with Amiibo. You can perfectly play.
So why would you buy them at the moment then? Why would you just buy them for the look of them? Or
I mean, they are very nicely made. They're more like true action figures than a chunky Skylander or Disney Infinity figure. But it's like, yeah, you can save your moves onto them. They haven't announced much of their usage. It was basically, here's these figures, they're gonna do stuff. So, you know, we don't know a ton about it. They're direct focused a lot on Super Smash Brothers, which plays phenomenally. It's a great game. It's just a known quantity. We've known about that for a year. And then they wheeled out kind of a wacky lineup of games. And some people were super impressed. A lot of people thought this was a great, you know, tons of fresh stuff. And people, you know, basically 100% of their stuff was exclusive, which is awesome, right?
Well,
I mean,
it has to be, doesn't it? Because no one likes them.
Well, but still, like, if we're talking to comparison, that is a big deal that they have all unique titles, you know, from a standpoint of which one do I want to buy. And they did Yoshi's Woolly World with these 2 old Japanese guys playing with yarn, which is a little bit.
It's actually quite a good game as well, which is annoying. I mean, part of the fact you can't really die.
Yeah, we played that co-op.
Easy.
You can't really perish, which is a little annoying. But
it's a bit weird.
You know, I mean, they showed off a new Kirby game, which is I don't know, simple. Hyrule Warriors was their focus Zelda game, which is the Dynasty Warriors mashup. And they briefly touched on a new Star Fox by Miyamoto, which had very little content to show, and a new Zelda, which had very little content to show. Although that was exciting, open world. I was just mostly bummed that we didn't get a new Metroid. We didn't get a Zelda gameplay. That still seems far off. And their big 3DS game that they were talking about was Project Steam, which is a new IP from Intelligent Systems, and it's kind of like a third-person, turn-based action RPG thing, almost like Valkyria Chronicles from PlayStation 3 a while back. But I think they're in a weird catch-22, because on one hand, everyone's like, make new franchises, but on the other hand, everyone's like, new Metroid. So they're in a weird spot where people want new games, but at the same time, people want to see those characters in HD. They want to see them again. I mean, I was clamoring for a new Metroid or a new F-Zero or a new Mario, and that wasn't there.
I would like to see a new IP though, like a whole new like character or something. I don't know, just.
Now, Splatoon is a totally new IP.
Okay, yeah.
This is the game with squid children firing paint at each other. And I think the difference, probably why maybe me and you don't consider this as highly, is because like it's not like an epic single player. It's not like this brand new character adventuring through this world. It's a multiplayer game. So maybe that's why it doesn't feel as like notable, you know, because technically it is a new Nintendo IP, but it's not like, oh my god, we've got this
wow factor.
We've got this new mouse character who's in this, you know, RPG game, and his name is, you know, whatever, Guario, and there wasn't like that kind of wow factor. But Splatoon is actually pretty fun. I don't know that it has lasting power like a Call of Duty or a Halo, but like it was actually really fun to play, and one of those games that looked so dumb but actually was a lot of fun to play, and I wanted to wait in line for it twice because it was enjoyable. And I will say that the shining star of that show is Captain Toad, which again seems like a throwaway game, but you play it and it's like, man, this has the charm and the zest and the appeal of Nintendo. Very clever, very cool. Not going to move systems, not going to be game of the year, but like a really fun. They're still knocking it out of the park, I feel like, with fun. You go to their booth, they've got the most playable stuff every year. They've got the most colorful stuff. They've got the most variety, and it's fun.
For sure. I mean, I wish I played that Captain Toad. You mentioned it when I was there. I was like, it sounds like a weird game, but I should have played it. I should have.
Yeah, Hyrule Warriors didn't do anything for me. A lot of people are excited about Bayonetta 2 and the new Xenoblade Chronicles game, which I did not get a chance to play either of those. But all in all, like Nintendo's conference, I felt like they had the most opportunity to really take a leap ahead, because the other two, didn't take a leap ahead. Nintendo had a chance to do so, and I felt like that is where they fell short. They still did a good job. They still had stuff that people were excited for. New Zelda showed just as much or more than, Halo and Uncharted. But this is really their year to really go for it, and we've got Captain Toad and Super Smash Bros. Smash Bros will be huge, but
oh yeah, for sure. But I mean, I'd never played Smash Brothers particularly that much. Did you see like something that was like revolutionary with that game? Does it play different? Is it just the up-resed like HD version of the game?
Yeah,
I just want to know like your opinion on like how. I
waited in line to play that game about 6 times. So fun factor wise, it's awesome. Yeah. Mechanic wise, it's awesome. But I will say, like, to be perfectly honest, Nintendo fanboy filter, turned off. To me, that game has less noticeable improvement than Mario Kart, because Mario Kart, I feel, looks so crispy. They made the track so much bigger. You really notice that it's in HD. And this game looks great, but because it's faster paced, because it's from a side perspective, to me, it's not. It's more of just a sequel. You know what I mean? As opposed to they're all sequels, but like this one really feels just like another Smash Brothers. And we didn't play with all the characters. There's definitely some fun new guys. It's going to sell millions of copies. I'll play for hundreds of hours. I'll love it. Probably give it, probably going to get 9s and 10s, but it's not, it's not doing anything new.
That's upsetting. Well, it's all what we expected, but
again, that's like their huge predicament though. People want new stuff, but then they also just want old stuff. So it's like
HD.
What do they do? How do they win? I just want another Smash Bros. I just want another Mario. I just want another Metroid. And then they do something. Maybe Splatoon is a chance for them to really make a new path, because people seem to be liking that game, and it is a new try for them. We actually talked about a paintball shooter for Nintendo, so we kind of secretly called this, which is hilarious. I think it would have been way cooler if there were Mario characters in the game. Like, think about like hype wise, if this game was called Splatoon, but it was Mario chasing Bowser around, like the press would be all over that. And
for sure, yeah. I mean, I don't know. They're sticking to their direction, aren't they? They're not going to change whatever the press says or whatever their fans say. It's all going to be due to like sales. They know Smash Brothers is going to sell like so many copies.
It might smell well. It could smell good.
It might smell well. The menu might.
The
smell
Amiibos
good.
might be really plasticky and fresh.
Are you gonna buy that little adapter thing as well?
The GameCube adapter?
Yeah.
Probably. I thought that was really ironic that they're showing their new game in HD on the Wii U and playing with controllers from 10 years ago.
It's I was like, it's a good controller, so it does suit the game quite well. But
they cater to their fans. I thought the stuff they were doing with live demos at the actual booth was really smart. They had the most playable stuff, this big Smash Brothers screen. Like, to me, it was the best booth. You know, everything was playable. There's the most demo units.
So bright and like there's so many like massive screens.
Right.
And it was really good.
They knock it out of the park from that standpoint. But I got to give them... When I got off of watching the conference, I texted you and I was like F-. Like, that was the worst piece of crap ever. But in hindsight, you know, I'd probably give them a C plus B minus. I mean, I would be...
Really?
I would kind of be fine saying that all the conferences were relatively equal. I mean, I would be okay giving them a draw from the conference standpoint because...
Yeah, I haven't really heard anyone go like outright.
No.
Sony's one or Nintendo one. It's just everyone's just like, eh.
And I thought it was a really great show for the games, but I thought it was a decently mediocre show from the press conferences. There wasn't any... We've had some moments before, even if they turned out to be fruitless, like Kinect or like the first Wii or like, you know, Zelda Twilight Princess or... I don't know, a number of these moments, Last of Us, where you're like, oh my God. And there wasn't one this year, I don't feel like.
There's a few like weird ones. Like the whole EA conference was weird, wasn't
yeah.
it? I mean, I'm not gonna start. I don't want to start watching these all conferences where they're showing me sketches of like some Star Wars character. I don't want to start doing that because I want to see games when they're like a year out, if that. To be honest, I mean, even that's pushing it for me. And they're starting to do this weird thing where they're like it's turned into like 2 year cycles, even 3 years sometimes, just to like advertise a game. But for me, how does that work? How does that create buzz? You want to set a date, stick to that date, and get the game done.
Do you think it speaks a little bit to the industry in the sense of like games are becoming more massive, they're costing way more money, they're requiring much more investment, so they have to kind of
pushing it,
show them off over the course of years to build them, and we're going to get fewer games but more massive games, sort of in the vein of a Destiny or stuff like that, where it's not going to be a press conference full of games that eventually there's going to be. We've got the Division franchise, we've got the Watch Dogs franchise, we've got Assassin's Creed, and almost movie style where it's like, yep, here comes new Transformers, yep, here comes the new Avatar.
I just like, for me, when they set dates and stuff as well, like Batman, for example, they set a date, which is fine. If it comes out on that date, I'm very, very happy. But then they're like, everyone's like, oh well, at least we'll get a better game in the future. I'm like, well, why even set a date?
Yeah,
I don't know. It's stupid. I guess like a week or something, a week or 2 weeks. Okay, that's fine. You had to get something done. That's okay. But then saying like, oh yeah, it's like 6 months in the future. I mean, what the hell happened?
Right. I think a lot of that is probably on the publisher, not the developer. Like they're pushing them to get it out. They want to set a date. They want to sell pre-orders. They want to make money. But yeah, it was an interesting year because I think we both expected them to all have so much more ready, and it seems like they're still in design mode. And maybe that's because they're trying to figure out the next gen consoles. The initial projects took up so many resources. It's so much money and time being invested. But yeah, I think we both thought they'd have more ready than they did.
For sure, yeah. I would see more new stuff. I would see more gameplay of some of the future stuff coming out. I don't know. I feel like this may happen next year as well because we can get all the Batmans.
Every year it happens.
Yeah, I just feel like it's gonna keep happening.
Vicious cycle. So what do you grade Nintendo just to finish that up?
Probably like a C minus. I reckon because I did enjoy the conference. If you talk about the conference was like a E or D for me. But the actual I liked the whole Nintendo booth and I had quite a good time playing some of the games. But for me, it's not like if I didn't have a Nintendo like Wii U, I wouldn't be desperate to buy one.
Yeah, even with Mario Kart 8 and Smash Brothers.
I mean, they're fun, but I played them before. Yeah. Honestly, I played them on the Wii.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think that it was, like, don't get me wrong, I think the show floor experience of playing the games and being there was a super fun time. Like, probably like an A- time. But I think the conferences just didn't have that wow factor that we had really hoped for this year, and didn't have that oh my god moment, that must-have moment for any of them. And that is why perhaps our scores fall so low. At the same time, we've got a lot of really cool games coming out in the next 18 months, and I thought it'd be cool if we just kind of picked out maybe 1, 2 of our favorites that we saw or played there.
Just randomly, just what's coming out in the future or this year, or just generally?
Yeah, just stuff that you saw or played there that stood out to you as like one of your favorites from your time there?
I think I said Batman already, but
Right.
Batman just looked amazing. From what I've seen of Assassin's Creed Unity, looks really, really impressive. The fact there's just so many, like the crowds look amazing. I'm not interested to see how this cart works. I haven't spoken about that, but the cart looks interesting perhaps, but apparently they are focusing still on the solo campaign, which is great.
I got to see the game be played in front of me. It looks gorgeous. They've made some nice gameplay tweaks, and from what I gathered from the guy I talked to, even though they showed the co-op first in that trailer, it's not the focus. The focus is still mostly entirely on single player, and then there's just some free roam missions that you can bring guys in for to kind of add. Ubisoft, seems to want to put co-op into everything these days.
Which is fine. I guess they're trying to make, I don't know, co-op seems to be added to everything now, doesn't it? Every game.
I think because they want to sell you DLC, they want to keep you on the game as long as possible so that they can sell you DLC and not have you traded into GameStop.
Fair enough. I do understand that. I mean, Destiny also looked very good as well to me.
Yeah. Were you surprised that they didn't show more of that at Sony? Like a huge blowout of some like brand new
They didn't really show
level?
anything, did they? It was like,
No.
was it like a 2-minute trailer thing?
Yeah.
No, which is like, okay.
I thought that's where we'd find out what the game fully was.
Yeah, I mean, we played the alpha and stuff.
Right.
And I wasn't sold on the game before, and I'm more sold on it, but I'm still slightly worried about it as well. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, those 3 games for me were my highlights.
I really liked Assassin's Creed Unity. I went into E3 thinking Far Cry 4 would be my favorite Ubisoft game, but AC Unity impressed me, and I'm hoping that they can really get back to the glory that I feel Assassin's Creed 2 has. So that's one of them for me. I really like Evolve a lot. I don't need to talk about it. I have talked about it to death. I think that's a game that's advancing mechanics and using next gen for a gameplay purpose. Giant monster chasing around this giant map full of AI and wildlife, not possible on previous consoles. Very, very cool game. I thought Bloodborne looked really cool. We touched on that. So the other one I'll pick out, I'm looking
What's
at...
the final one? What's the final one?
I really want to give it to something from Nintendo, but I guess we touched on that. So, I'll point out just an oddball candidate here. Lords of the Fallen is a very small, under-the-radar game from Bandai Namco, or Namco Bandai.
Is that out this year? Sorry.
Yeah, that is next-gen only, out fall 2014. And it's flying under the radar. I got to play it in a nice air-conditioned booth upstairs. And it's just the kind of game I like. It's very much a Dark Souls clone, but that's not a bad thing. There's so few games, I think, that utilize that incredible difficulty and demand of the player to be on your toes constantly. And it's adding a magic system and a much more streamlined level up system and different weapon sets and gear. And it just seemed like the kind of game that I would really, really enjoy and get into. And I will give a special shout out to Destiny, because we had been so skeptical of that game before. I still don't fully know what it is. I'm concerned it's not going to be massive like they're hoping, but I think it will be a fun game. I played for 3 hours. I didn't want to stop playing. I'm excited for the beta, and so they have won me over. To me, it seems like they're trying to make the next Grand Theft Auto, the next 30 million copy seller, the next Game of the Year game, and I don't know if it's because we haven't seen the story. I don't know if it's because it lacks a true single player. I don't know if it's because it could be a million factors, but it just doesn't have, to me, that like gem of a thing, of a feature to have it really, leap the line to be like a Game of the Year. Like, how GTA has its like massive city, how Last of Us had this like emotional story. What is the factor of Destiny that sets it apart? I don't.
It's the multiplayer, I guess. I also wasn't like the graphics. I was hoping for more as well.
Were you?
Without being too mean, I was like, I don't know. I just didn't feel like as good as I hoped it. I mean, the environments look pretty and stuff.
I think it's
but
because it's a cross-gen game. I mean that.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah.
Right. I mean that's.
Yep.
We saw noticeable. Our favorite games that we've talked about, most of them were next-gen only. Most of them were.
Yes, true. Yeah,
that is why, and they got to sell copies. They want to move units, and so yeah, it's cross-gen. But if you want to get into the real games that differentiate themselves, I think that's going to be next-gen. I mean, we saw stuff like Shadows of Mordor. Fun time playing it. Cool-looking game. Is it really anything amazing, though? I don't know.
We could talk about this game for ages, but I didn't see anything that wanted me to purchase the game.
Yeah.
It wasn't fun for me. I got bored I played it for about half an hour, 40 minutes,
Yeah.
and I was getting bored.
Yeah.
I wanted to let you leave. I was like, There we go.
So I just think that as long as these games remain cross-gen until next gen really massively takes over the industry, you're gonna feel that of like, I wanted a little bit more. I wanted a little bit more. And that's why, to me, we're seeing games like Infamous still be, you know, the shining star graphically. We're seeing games like Evolve be the shining star mechanically. We're seeing, like, you know, games like Uncharted 4 and Halo 5 and, you know, whatever else, be AC Unity, be the ones that we're looking forward to most, because they are advancing stuff the most. They're not still trying to develop on consoles that are 8 years old.
Yeah, I completely agree.
So that is E3. I mean, all in all, your first E3, did you have a good time?
I had a great time. Yeah, I got to meet GhostRobo, the legend.
Oh, yeah, we had some good time. We went around Santa Monica. We ate at some of my favorite healthy places. And I got to chauffeur Scott around Los Angeles. So it was awesome to meet you. A great fun time. We even got to mess with some blind box figures and eat at Whole Foods. And yeah,
yummy.
It was a glorious time. I already can't wait for next year. There's always like that post E3 depression for me, like 365 days until these press conferences. And like, that's part of it as well. I feel like it's so built up in my mind, like Christmas. And, you know, it's like, if you don't get all the presents you want on Christmas, if as a little kid, like, you're kind of like, oh man, it's still fun, still awesome, still a great time, still thankful.
Right.
But I didn't have that like massive moment from this show that I thought I might have. All in all, though, a good E3. Because I've been to 3, I think my favorite is still the first year I went, because the Wii U was something totally brand new, and it had so much hope and promise when it first came out, because of its new controller and all that buzz. But this was definitely like, man, if you had come last year, I don't know that you would have wanted to come back.
I'm gonna cry.
Yeah. But so this year was good. We're looking forward to next year. Let us know in the comments below what your favorite game you saw at E3 was. Watching from home, what game impressed you the most? What game are you looking forward to the most? Let us know your thoughts on Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo. I mean, if we have to crown a winner here in the last 60 seconds before we leave, do you think there is one company, one of the big 3, worth giving that crown to? Ubisoft.
Yeah.
Very good.
I think the game's just like, for me, I'm interested in Division. It looks impressive. I'm still not 100% sold on it. AC Unity looks absolutely amazing, and I love Assassin's Creed anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a Far Cry looked good, but not as good as I hoped maybe, but I'm excited for Ubisoft stuff this year for sure.
They probably, of all the publishers, had the most impressive. I don't know how they make so many games. Like, they're gonna have Far Cry, AC, Watch Dogs all in the same year. Like, what are they doing over there? It must be on some.
And the other game? Oh, The Crew.
Yeah, and The Crew. They're on some serious Popeye spinach action over there. I think, as I may get hate for this, but I think Microsoft is the winner, because I really believe none of them did anything super amazing, and so we are now talking about Xbox One much more closely to PlayStation 4 than before. So to me, they gained the most ground. Whether they had a fantastic show or not, whether you're excited for their games or not, I feel like the conversation, because of their price drop, because of their offering, because of their new focus, because of their indie presence, because of their letting go of Kinect, we now talk about them, to me, much more closely than before. And so that, I think, from their standpoint, has to be like a fist-pumping victory.
Fair enough. Yeah, they've definitely got close, haven't they?
Yeah.
To the Sony.
Will be interesting to see how things pan out this fall. Still lots of good games. Maybe they're cross-gen, maybe they're not. But looking at this list, I mean, we've got Alien Isolation, Evolve, Hyrule Warriors, Captain Toad, Super Smash Brothers, Destiny, Dying Light is not this year. Far Cry 4 is, though. Sunset Overdrive, Lords of the Fallen, Skylanders, Shadows of Mordor, AC Unity, COD Advanced Warfare, plenty of stuff to play. You're going to be busy. You're going to have a lot of decisions to make, and it should be a super fun year. Whatever people say about 2015 being amazing, 2014, I think, will still be pretty darn good. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you had fun with this pretty darn good post-E3 wrap-up. Game Right, thanks as always. Big hugs from across the ocean.
Problem. Thank you.
And we'll talk to you guys later. Until that time, have a fantastic day. Hit that like button if you enjoyed. Drink some hot chocolate, and we will see you all later.